coming up on the 70% Podcast.
So when we get onto the religious portion of this, okay, so we talked about the LGBTQ community. We kind of segued a little bit into religion, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into religion.
Right.
Okay, so the United States was founded on Judeo-Christian values. Okay. In addition, it was founded on being able to be free in this country, to organize whatever religion you are, you know, whoever you wanted to be in the United States, you can be. So if we break this down to just the golden rule, okay, let's take away Catholicism, let's take away Islamic, let's take away, you know, Christianity, let's take all that away and let's just break it down to the golden rule in general.
They're not the only one that has that idea, nor are they the only one that has an idea, and that these ideas can commiserate with each other. And
I want you to say that again.
I cannot. You're so funny, Mike.
I can loop it. I can loop it again and again.
Nate will put it on a loop and we'll just
Their ideas,
Should I just sell
not
it to
our
all that?
ideas,
Yeah, I'll
based
sell-
on their ideas.
Yeah. We'll sell it as elevator music.
It'll be a darn T-shirt. That's going to be a loop.
No, I understand what you're saying.
The 70% Podcast with your host, Amy Alexander and Mike Sewell.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to week number whatever this is. I don't even know anymore. It's the beginning of the year, and I don't know. I'm in trouble.
I'm taking your solo cup away. I'm taking that away from you.
Yeah. Let you tell it. Anyway, welcome.
We are almost at the end of February already.
I know. It was Valentine's Day yesterday.
I know. Oh, so what are your wins for the?
My wins for tonight, today,
for the week so
for
far,
the week.
thus far.
Yeah. Well, I got an offer not accepted and then accepted.
Okay.
That
okay.
helps. I have some things going on the back burner for some projects that I've been doing that are looking positive for going forward.
I like it. Are we talking about the patent?
Yes.
Yeah, buddy. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
We're not going to talk about the details of the patent.
No, of course, because then it would ruin the kind of patent thing.
There you go.
And my boyfriend Preston got his real estate.
Yeah.
He passed the exam.
But you know what? Here's the thing.
He's going to get his license. I don't think he has any felonies because I did that whole CCAP on him before we started dating. So I'm pretty sure that he's going to be fine.
It doesn't surprise me. He's an extremely intelligent person.
Yeah.
Extremely intelligent. Like when you put on a scale of 1 to 10 of intellect, I would put him at the very least 8.5. I would definitely, in my opinion, I would put him at a 9.5 in intellect.
Really?
Yeah. He's a smart person.
He is very
like
smart.
he and I have had some conversations.
He's very smart, but he's also very young, so he doesn't have that wisdom factor quite yet.
Well, yeah. But
so I put him at like an 8 until he grows into that wisdom.
Well, that's your thing, but I'm going to put him at an 8.5. Next thing you know, well, anyway, that was last week's show.
Anyway, yes, last week's show. We had a really great show last week. I hope you guys all caught it.
Yeah, the LGBTQ+. But there's some more acronyms to that.
IA or something? I don't
know. Jenny, what was it? Come here. Jenny, tell us what it was.
LGBTQIA+.
What does the IA stand for?
Yeah, what is that?
I stands for intersex and A is asexual, which is what I am.
Okay, so you're a frog. I'm totally kidding. Well, sort of. I don't know. I mean, that's my definition of asexual. Yeah.
Right.
So there's some things that we're kind of still, because Mike and I, we research our topics before we talk about them. But
at least try to.
Yes. But we also end up leaving the show with more questions and wanting to, like, we're almost like, we need to have them back for a second show because we just had more questions. But there are some things that were left a little bit open-ended that I know you said you wanted to bring them up in today's show.
Yeah. Well, first off, we discussed a lot about the LGBTQI whatever plus. I'm not going to get this right, so please forgive me. But anyway, we talked about that a lot last week or in last week's show. One of the things that I didn't get to clarify was that chimeras. Okay, so chimeras are people who were born with two different DNAs. So there was a young lady who was born with the bottom half of her DNA was completely different than the top half of her DNA. In Detroit, she had children, and the social workers actually took her children away from her because they didn't match her DNA. The only thing that saved her to get her kids,
like a shelf or something, or like what? How?
And that's the thing. It's an anomaly. Okay, so I'm making an argument for the community, the LGBTQ plus community. Okay, so with that said, the chimeras are people who are born with two different DNA. So, in my opinion, okay, if it can happen physically,
I'm gonna have to research. I don't even know how that's possible.
If it can happen physically, it serves to reason that it can happen mentally as well. You know, so they were talking about God, I'm going to get this wrong. I call them hermaphrodites. So physically born with two different
you have a vagina
working sexual organs. Okay. Right. So if that can happen physically, then it serves to reason that same type of thing can happen mentally. So you have people in the religious sect that would say, no, that's not the way it is, and God doesn't make mistakes and blah, blah, blah. And here's the thing. That's not a mistake. That's not a mistake. So if it can happen physically, it serves to reason that it can happen mentally as well. And in my opinion, so if someone could be, if they could be born with the same working sexual organs, then they can also be born in a male's body with a female brain and or feelings, and vice versa.
Right, your testosterone
is higher, or what?
Estrogen could be out of balance or whatever.
Correct. We're talking about chemicals here. We're talking about science here. These things can happen.
Well, and that's the biggest argument. People are like, well, being not a boy or not a girl is not science. You are born with what you're born with.
But that's the thing. Just because you're born with male genitalia does not mean that physically, like emotionally and mentally, you feel like you're a male. There are a lot of men out there that are feminine. Mm-hmm. You know, they're not as aggressive as most men with all of this testosterone that's running through our bodies and stuff like that.
So you're saying normal men are aggressive?
I'm saying that in today's society, in our culture, what we identify as a male is someone who has a high testosterone level, who is a little bit more aggressive than the female counterpart.
Oh, I think Jenny and I could both argue about that.
Okay, well, bring it on.
I don't.
Is that not traditionally what we consider?
Yeah, but tradition.
How we identify
here's where
men.
We're running into problems. Everybody is worried about keeping tradition.
Okay.
And so, well, I mean, yeah, I may be more emotional than the average man, but there's also other ways that I can distinguish myself as being either, I don't want to say smarter, but just having the intellect to be able to compete with a man. I can definitely get myself out of that emotional stint when somebody talks intellectually to me.
And that's not what I'm talking about personally. Okay, so in today's society, when we think of the masculinity or of a male, we think about the high testosterone level, the more masculine person, not necessarily more intellectual, but they're a lot more masculine. Okay, they're a lot more aggressive about life in general. Okay,
right. I think you're proving my point.
You're killing me, Smalls.
I know.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So anyway, just to let's bring this back to what I was saying. So we're talking about chimeras. Okay. So if you have the it serves to reason that you have that if it can happen physically, it can happen mentally.
Okay.
Okay.
So there can be a divide between you're not a person may not be significantly male or female in their mind or emotions.
Correct.
Okay.
In my opinion, and based on the things that I've studied,
they
things
could
that
be
I've
male
looked
in their
at.
bodies, but their mind and emotions make them female.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. So if you look up, so if anybody that is listening right now that disagrees with what I'm saying, look up chimeras.
How do you spell that?
CHIMARA, chimera. So look that up, and do a little bit of study on that. Study and look up the case in Detroit where the woman had two different DNAs. Okay, and the reason that brought me to these subjects, the reason that brought me to these different studies was because my mother is gay, and we talked about that last week. And for a long time, I couldn't understand that. As a child, I was embarrassed that my mother was gay. It bothered me.
Well, as a child, that was a long time ago, and it
Right.
wasn't as prevalent. I don't want to say as prevalent.
Well, it was back in the early 80s. When I was 12, 13 years old or whatever, it was embarrassing,
right?
That my mother was gay. So as a young adult, in the early 90s when I was, 21, 22, things like I started doing a little bit more studying on, gays and stuff like that and trying to understand that whole concept. And that's what brought me to the chimeras. And then it helped me to understand that people can truly be born different than what we traditionally see as male and female. It can happen physically. And it serves to reason that if it can happen physically, then intellectually we should understand that this can happen mentally as well.
Right. So how do you propose that we help people understand that is a thing that they should reconsider if they're already thinking negatively about the situation as it is now, as far as the trans community?
And see, that's the thing. I think that, so the premise of our show is that 70% of the population,
give or take, we keep saying
Right.
70%. Somebody's going to call us out on the statistics someday, and we're going to be like,
Forget
okay,
about
it's
it.
only
Yeah.
68.4.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It's just
We believe that the majority of the population feels that we don't care what color you are, how tall you are, how short you are, whether you're blonde, brunette, whether you're gay or straight, or whatever the case may be. So I believe those people that are sitting in that percentage should do the studies. I think they should look at how many people in let's just take the United States, because I said 3 billion the last podcast, but that was the populace of the globe rather than the United States, which is 300 something million or whatever. Anyway, long story short, you take the populace of the United States and then look at the percentage of people who are truly born with the two working sexual organs, and give that consideration to how many people could be born with the in a male's body with the brain of a female, and or vice versa.
Right.
We're talking science here. We're not talking.
I know we're not. Right.
Right.
I totally get that.
This is pure science here.
Mhm.
These things can happen.
Right, but it's science that isn't being brought out to be like, hey, this is possible. To the average person, it's always the people that
You have to search for this stuff. You can't sit, and that's the thing with everything, Amy. You cannot sit back and just drink in what you're being taught when it comes to politics or religion or anything else. You can't just, and in my opinion, you don't just sit back and drink that stuff in.
Right. But
You-
the
you
science is a
accept it.
science, and everybody should, if scientists say it's true, then it must be true. But we don't have any, like, anybody can be a scientist if they just write an article about being a scientist. And
but
then
you
all of a
have to-
sudden it's a believable article because he said he's a scientist. Nobody's doing the research to find out whether or not his medical history really qualifies him, or his scientific history even qualifies him to be a scientist, or if
Okay.
he's just, I have this blog because I think I know better.
Let me break it down this way. If you have a staunch belief in anything in general, I think you should try to find the opposite of that belief and read about it.
Okay.
And in doing such, you will find that people disagree with what you believe in, and steel sharpens steel. So then you'll be able to ask different questions. You'll be able to come up with different beliefs when
Okay.
it comes to that. Okay. In my opinion, if you're staunch about anything and you say there's no way that this is going to be, any way else, you've already stopped growing. You might as well just die.
Well, you
call
and
it
I
a
have
day.
both proved that there is ways that people can be other things
Right.
besides what they are
No doubt.
conditioned or expected to do throughout their lives.
Yeah. So, based on the discussion about the LGBTQ community last week, and what we're moving into this week is religion. I think that's a good segue into religion, the LGBTQ, because a lot of people, when it comes to let's say the Muslim and Christian and religion, do not believe that gay people or the LGBTQ community plus, or whatever. Anyway,
I would
community.
hope that everybody that hears us say LGBTQ understands we're talking about everybody. Like if we miss a let, sorry.
If we lose part of the acronym,
right,
it's not because we're being
right,
assholes.
we're just
We just don't know any better.
Well, we don't know, or for sake of conversation.
Right. Okay. So here's the thing. The LGBTQ plus community. Okay. So there are certain religions, Christianity, Muslim, Judaism, that believe that those people are sinning. They're sinners, and they're going to go to hell.
But don't those same people? I know I have some experience with Christianity. I am baptized. I did go to a Catholic school until I was in 3rd grade. I went to CCD until I got away with skipping CCD, and my mom didn't know about it. Sorry,
What's
Mom.
CCD?
Catholicism. I don't even know. It was going to our school/church every Wednesday night so that we could be taught about God.
Okay.
And a thing that I learned about God when I was very young is that divorced parents are not. Divorce is a very bad thing in the Catholic religion back in
It's a sin.
the day. So that actually was reflected on me when my parents got divorced. When I was in grade school, when I was in first grade, I was in first grade. That actually ended up affecting me because of the way they treated me.
When you say they,
The Catholic school.
okay.
The Catholic school treated me differently because my parents were divorced. And then there was a whole. Then the kids treated me differently, or my peers, or whatever you call them at that age, treated me differently because once my parents were divorced and my mom was raising us, we didn't have the money to pay for school lunches, so I got a different color ticket because the kids that get financial help with their school lunches got an orange ticket and everybody else got a blue one. So then I was yeah, then
So you were ostracized,
yeah,
so to speak.
so to speak.
Right.
I think it really did. I used to be a very outgoing kid before that, and then I kind of went into a shell for quite a few years until my freshman year in high school, when my favorite teacher of all time, Mr. McEldowney, would comment every time I walked in the door. He'd be like, "Hey, nice hoofs, Grobe." That's my true love. He'd be like, he'd always say he made me get that attention. So I didn't have anything. I didn't have anything to do with it. Like I couldn't control it. He was totally in control of the attention I was getting.
Sure.
And then I just started developing a mechanism to respond to it. And that's, I think, why I'm so freaking hilarious and that you're jealous of me.
Wow.
Totally kidding. Maybe a little bit.
Let's not what is it called? Blow our own horn.
Right. But that's not the point. So last week's show definitely showed us I felt like I learned some things with Darlene and Carla that
About it. Yep.
I wouldn't have known previously. And it still left some questions, of course, but I don't know that the argument that we're having with this throughout our populace is really the thing that's worth fighting about, like going to war over.
Well, and that's the premise of the show is like, I truly believe in my heart of hearts that most people in the United States just do not give a damn where you come from, how tall you are, what color hair you have.
Are those the people that are making sure that we end up in this shithole situation every single time we elect somebody new?
And that's the thing.
I mean, are we at fault?
We are the people that are not being heard. We are the people that are being
because we're not speaking loud. Yeah, we're the silent majority.
Honestly.
We're not being heard because we're not speaking loud enough.
Right, and that's what we need to change here. So when we get onto the religious portion of this, okay, so we talked about the LGBTQ community. We kind of segued a little bit into religion, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into religion.
Right.
Okay, so the United States was founded on Judeo-Christian values.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In addition, it was founded on being able to be free in this country, to organize whatever religion you are, whoever you wanted to be in the United States, you can be, basically.
Right.
Okay? And so as the years went on, you have, so in schools, we used to have the national anthem. We used to have morning prayer, things like those things have been taken out of school because we're talking about, school versus religion and, things of that nature. So those things have been taken out.
Separation of church and state.
Exactly. Taken out of school.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's a lot of Christians still in not just in power in the United States, but in our everyday politics of the United States.
Okay.
So Donald Trump himself touts himself as a Christian.
Right.
Okay. So how is it in that
a lot of people tout themselves? Does Joe Biden tout himself as a Christian?
Does he?
Does Barack Obama tout himself as a Christian?
Ugh.
Does Hillary Clinton tout herself as a Christian? Don't even get me started with that, because she'll be in jail any day now. All those that are friends with me that I said, hey, yeah, I'll do a cartwheel in the middle of Main Street when Hillary Clinton goes to jail. That was a long time ago, and I will keep that promise. Anyway.
She's never going to go to jail.
Anyway, yeah, I shouldn't talk about that. Otherwise, I'm a woman hater. But so Yeah, so religion has been the basis of our country growing the way it has been to get to all this freedom and all this industrialism and and not to discount the Jews and Muslims and everybody else because they're all part of that melting pot.
Right.
But Christianity is, 70% of it
has been the foundation.
Right. So the United States has the biggest population of Christianity than any other country in the world, and 70% of practicing. Well, even 70% of people are Christian because they even break it down to
practicing or non-practicing.
right.
You know what I mean?
Because they break it down. The last survey I saw or the last graph I saw was like breaking it down to atheists and like even to, like Buddha
Right.
and or Buddhism and all that other stuff.
No doubt.
And so Christianity definitely built the foundation of this country.
Correct. Well, our laws are based on Judeo-Christian views and values.
Right.
You know.
And so why are they so bad that people think that? I mean, I'm not even a truly practicing Christian, but I do know that if people follow the 10 Commandments, we'd probably all just really get along.
And see, that's my thing. I call myself a Christian, not because I'm a Bible thumping, and I know you said I shouldn't say that, because it's it kind of pits us against people or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, long story short, I'm not a Bible thumping Christian, meaning I'm not beating people over the head with the Bible, but I believe in the foundation of Christianity. And I believe it's a good way to raise your children.
Do unto others.
Do unto the golden rule.
Mm-hmm.
Do unto others.
So
as you
other
should
religions
have done
don't
unto
have the
yourself.
golden rule?
Yeah, absolutely. Buddhism has the golden rule. Christianity has the golden rule. The Muslim religion has the golden rule. The Torah, the Jewish religion has the golden rule. Yeah, there's a lot of religion who believe in the three deities have the golden rule.
Right. But then why do we have so many religious wars? Why did we have the Crusades? Why do we have the religious persecution that we have now? Why? I mean, if people truly believe that, we wouldn't be in the situation we are now with churches getting blown up and, all the other things that are going on.
The funny part about that is that if you go to Muslim countries, you have different sects of the Muslim religion.
SECTS. Not
Okay.
sex.
I didn't say sex.
Well,
Sex.
all right.
Okay. Anyway.
I didn't say sex. I said sex. Just clarifying for the audience.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, some people's children.
I can't believe you have to deal with me every week.
So you have these different organizations. So you have Sharia law, and you have I forget the other one. Nate, help me out here.
What's that?
You have Sharia law, and you have the other Muslim.
Oh boy, we're going into Islamic theology
Yeah.
here.
I thought the Sharia law was the only Islamic
No,
thing.
it's not.
Oh,
it's
no,
not.
there are sects,
Yeah.
and I mean SECTS
We're going back there again.
of Islamic
I
faith,
just-
just
I
like
just wanted
others.
to-
Yeah,
So you have Sharia law and Islamic law,
Sure.
basically. Okay, so
Right.
it's like Judaic law.
No,
yeah,
I don't
There are
think so.
so
precepts.
it's like Catholic and it's like
Sure.
Catholic and
So what is
But it means
what
a
is-
lot.
All right. So
Pardon?
what does Sharia law say about the treatment between individuals?
well,
and their
basically
sex.
Sharia law is Islamic legal system. It is derived from the Quran,
Mm-hmm.
Islam Holy Bible, as well as the Sunni. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
think
The
so. Sunni.
Sunni? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So you have the Sunni and your Hadith. And anyway, the deeds and sayings of the Prophet Muhammad. Okay. So there's the difference of what Sharia law and what the Sunni law feel are different. Okay. In Islam. Now, if there's a listener out there that has any more knowledge when it comes to the Muslim religion than I do, please chime in
Yes,
and correct me.
please.
Correct me,
I don't-
okay? Because I'm not, I'm not a scholar in this.
That's
area.
another thing where we
We're-
know we don't have the perspective of other people, so we would love to just have that conversation with them.
Yeah. Exactly. So you have anyway. So long story short, you have two different. So it's just like having Catholicism with the Catholic religion, and you have the non-traditional or baptism,
The Protestant.
or baptism, or
Right. So
Protestant,
you have
or whatever.
Christianity,
Reformation,
and then you
yes.
have Catholicism, you have Lutheran, you have
Sure.
Protestant,
Right.
you have all that.
Correct. Correct. So you have all these different sects. Long story short, we all believe in the same golden rule. Okay. So if we break this down to just the golden rule, okay, let's take away Catholicism. Let's take away Islamic. Let's take away, Christianity. Let's take all that away, and let's just break it down to the golden rule in general. Okay. And let's just say that that's what we live by.
Do
Do
unto
unto
others
others
as you would want to be
As
done
you should
to you.
have them done, as you should have things done unto you.
Sermon on the Mount. Yeah.
Right. So you're not going to harm yourself.
Are you sure?
Thus, you should not harm other people. So, in my opinion, if you, that's like who's woke and who's not woke.
Which is how this whole show started.
That's right.
Oh my God! Yeah, I
No, it
still
is
have
full
full circle.
It is full circle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good job, Amy.
Yep.
I just so in my and I always say this, in my opinion, I always say that, and the reason why I try to say that is because I know that I don't know everything.
Right,
I
but
know-
that's why it makes it your opinion and
Right.
not your factual, researchable
Exactly,
capabilities
exactly.
of knowing everything about the universe.
Right, and I think that's
There's
what
got
this
to be
show
an
is
acronym
about.
for that. Anyway,
We need to come up with it.
yeah, we will.
I think that's what this show is about, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's about everybody understanding that we all have our own opinions. However, we understand that we need to get along in order to progress.
Right. I know, and people talk about progressivism or progressive movements or progressive politicians, and yes, there is such a thing as being progressive, but it doesn't necessarily mean turning the world upside down so that everybody that is supporting the nation is all of a sudden only supporting the people that are struggling. We can't give everything to everybody else and expect to still be able to live and give things to everybody else.
Okay, I'm going to need
Oh,
you to.
that
I'm gonna,
totally got off the religion
no,
topic. I am so
we're,
sorry.
No,
We're individuals, but we're living in these groups.
Mhm.
How do we get along with one another? How do we view the universe? How do we, why are we here? All these different theological, philosophical precepts. Somebody and collectively is doing that. So we have to, okay, the three of us at the 70% suddenly decide, well, this is the way it ought to be. How about we give that
Right.
commandment?
But I'm sadly learning as I
That's
get
what you're
older
talking
that there are more people that just don't even care. We're just trying
That's
to
the
make
government.
sure that people understand that their idea may not be, they're not the only one that has that idea, nor are they the only one that has an idea, and that these ideas can commiserate with each other. And
I want you to say that again.
I cannot. You're so funny, Mike.
I can loop it. I can loop it again
Yeah.
and again.
Nate will
and
put it on a
again.
loop and we'll just
Their ideas,
Should I
not,
just sell it
not
to all
our
the-
ideas,
yeah, I'll
based
sell-
on their.
yeah. We'll sell it as elevator music.
It'll be a darn T-shirt. That's gonna be a loop.
No, I understand what you're saying. So, I think that in the again, in my opinion, which I know is going to
Yeah, but don't roll your eyes when you say that, Mike, because everybody, it just because it's your opinion, it doesn't necessarily mean it's right or wrong. It is your opinion, and that's what we're not on this show to pretend like we're journalists,
we're just
we
regular
try to-
fucking people
yeah,
trying to get
we-
everybody together to stop freaking arguing and
Right.
complaining.
Shut the fuck up. Let's
Yeah.
all just listen to each other, hug, and realize that we're all in this together. And if we don't come together at some point, we are done.
Right.
You guys are thinking out loud. That's basically
Exactly.
what it is.
Exactly.
Having those courageous
Exactly.
conversations.
No doubt. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, in my opinion, I think that the people in the United States, when it comes to religion in general, I don't think that the Muslim sect or the Christianity sect or the Jewish sect, I don't think these people feel as though we are against one another. I think they all feel the same. And these are okay. So here's the thing: I have a nephew who is a devout Muslim. Okay, so he prays, 6 times a day. He teaches his kids that he has 6 kids. That he teaches his kids this, and that's how they live their life. Okay, I grew up as a Christian. Okay, and I'm not a devout Christian, so I'm not the guy that's going to church every week. However, I think that the people that have to go to church every week are the people that need to go to church every week. Okay, I try to be a good person every day of my life. Okay, I try not to screw people over.
Right.
To the best of my abilities, I have good morals, good ethics. Okay, and I do not do anything that I feel I don't want done to myself.
Right.
Okay, just in real estate, the other day I had a gentleman that tried to steal a customer away from me. A lender of all sex tried to steal a customer, and that's just not good ethics.
Right.
You know what I mean? And for me, I would not ever do that to someone.
Right, but but Mike, you're
so
not understanding.
I think that most people live that way. So the point that I'm trying to drive home here, or the point that I'm trying to get at here, is that I think that even though we have these different sects of religions,
Yes.
right?
I think we got past that.
religions.
You're like, just in a contract, when you first bring that acronym out, then everybody understands what the acronym is. So
I like it.
All right.
Okay. So these religions, I think that in those religions, we all have the same basic concept of the golden rule.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's pretty much the premise of this show.
Right, but I have to correct you on something, because
Okay.
I feel like, and that one of the comments that you made was that people that really, really, really need religion are the ones that go to church or something. I'm not sure if I read that right.
No,
But I think that everybody has their own way of worshiping. If you need to worship, if you need to go with your family to church on Sunday morning and run into and talk to your pastor and do whatever, then great. I have, to each their own. I feel so bad for them because they weren't allowed to do that over COVID. During COVID, people weren't allowed to go to church. And that might have been their way of keeping themselves in check.
Right.
And then they couldn't do that. And then I'm sure there was whatever. I have no statistics on that, so I'm not even going to try to quantify it. But other people, like, I feel like if you just keep with the 10 Commandments and the golden rule, then you're a decent person. And no matter, I don't necessarily believe in heaven and hell. I believe there's a higher power. I believe that higher power regulates what happens with me and to all of us, because there's got to be, because this is all just too incredible to be a spark of dust.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If God, so if you look at the Big Bang Theory and you put that into a religious point of view, okay, if it reads in the Bible that if you look upon the face of God, you'll fall down dead. Okay,
Well,
which means he's so powerful, so omnipotent that you will just be in such awe that your
and that
heart
doesn't
will stop.
seem like a good God to me.
No. Not necessarily that he did it to you. The fact that he's so it's so fantastic, so brilliant that you would just, your heart would just stop by, like, you would just be like, oh my God, this is just the most brilliant thing that I've ever seen. So anyway, long story short.
okay.
So what I'm getting at is that if you look upon the face of God, you'll fall down dead. So if that is the type of God that we have, that is so...
Who's we? We all have a different God, though. Are we a Christian?
If that's the type of God that we're discussing,
Okay.
then it serves to reason that if he were to speak into existence the let there be light, it's not going to be a, oh, flicker, flicker, the lights come on. It's going to be a bang.
No.
The lights are going to come on. So Christianity or the thought of religion and the Big Bang Theory can actually be part or one and the same.
Could be.
Because here's the thing, science teaches us. So the Big Bang Theory is based on science, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So science teaches us that if there's a reaction, if there's an action, there's a reaction, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So with that theory, in order for there to be a bang, there had to be something to produce that bang. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So let's just call that God,
We could.
for argument's sake.
Okay.
Okay? Let's just call it God. God said, let there be light. Bang! There's light. Make sense?
It does.
Okay. So, I know that was a bit traumatic.
I wish
Go
you would
ahead,
have
Nate.
taken this.
Nate, you got something to say. Go ahead.
Amy said something interesting. She used the verb worship, and you're using the word God, and she also said higher power. And we were talking about all the different variations of belief.
Some people call it energy. Some people call it higher
Correct.
power. Some people call it
there's
God.
so we believe in a higher power. Some people do not. Okay.
Right.
But if you do, what do you do with that knowledge? And that's where the verb worship comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you say religion, in fact, this episode is some people are going to recoil simply because they're like, I don't like church. And purely by accident of birth, were you raised Christian?
Right.
If you were in India, it would be Hinduism.
Right.
If you were, pick geographical location.
Right. It'll
No
be
doubt.
a different.
Yeah, that was my only observation. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to train wreck
don't
your
be sorry.
conversation. but-
That's where we're at right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. I agree. The Big Bang could be let there be light. And that's what happened. I don't think any of the way, when you just sit down and think about the big picture and the mechanisms by which we live and by which we just exist among each other and how we live on this planet, really, it started from a speck and just an unknown.
I disagree. I completely disagree. I think this is by complete design. I think there is a
There was a question mark at the end of my statement.
Oh, my apologies.
Yes,
Let me
I'm sorry.
shut up.
Sorry, I didn't emphasize that hard enough. I don't. I mean, what is it, 2020 BC or whatever? I mean, whether or not the Christian God or the Muslim God or the Judeo, whichever God came around, I think that we're all believing in the same God. We're just hearing a different story as we grow up.
Well, so there are people that believe in energy, not necessarily a God, but energy. So here's the thing: when you walk into a room, you can feel the room. You can feel the energy in that room, whether it's a downcast energy or a happy energy. You can literally walk up to a person specifically and feel that person's energy, whether they are a bad person. And I'm putting that in quotations.
Bad person, yeah.
Right. Because, that's selective depending on the sect or group you come from or whatever.
Right.
So whether they're a bad person and or a good person. So you can feel that energy coming off of people. We typically repel. And any self-help guru, okay, will tell you that the 5 people that you hang out with are who you're going to be. So if you hang out with 5 people who are multimillionaires, you're eventually going to be a multimillionaire. If you hang out with 5 people who are drug addicts, you're eventually going to be a drug addict. If you hang out with 5 people who are criminals, you're eventually going to be. It's the energy that are coming off these people that are going to make you who you are. Okay? So we can feel the energy in the room. And this is just my opinion. There is a good energy that we all come from. And when we reject that energy is when it becomes the bad energy, Satan, quote unquote. You understand what I'm saying?
Because they say if there is a God, there is a Satan.
Well, if there's good, there's bad.
And
There's not
white,
good
and
without
there's
bad.
that,
There's not
yeah.
black without white. There's not, up without down. It just is
Right.
what it is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So if there's a good energy, there's a bad energy. So Christians call that good energy God, the Holy Spirit, Jesus Christ. Okay, the Trinity. Judeo-Christian or Jewish people call that energy God and the Holy Spirit. They don't even count Jesus; they count him as a prophet. So does the Muslim. Okay, we're still talking about the same energy. We're still talking about
That's what
this
I'm saying.
being
That
a
everybody's
good energy.
basically praying to the same God. They're just getting a different story in order to get there.
Exactly.
So why can't everybody just realize that and quit fighting?
We wouldn't have so many wars if we were able to do that.
But-
Here's the thing, though. In our opinion, the reason why we're doing this show is because we believe that 70% of the United States feels this way.
A good majority, a better majority than what the media and public opinion is leading us
Would
to
have
believe.
us to believe
Yeah,
is that 70% and or the better majority.
plus or minus. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I mean,
plus or
there are a lot
minus.
of us that just don't. Like, I get it. I mean, do I believe in a higher power? Yes, I believe. Honestly, I believe in reincarnation. I believe that I am put into this lifetime to learn more stuff so that when I'm done with this lifetime, I can bring it into the next and help even more.
Have you ever heard the saying of old soul,
Yes.
Nate?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I think that people who are quote unquote old soul are people who have recycled.
Mm-hmm.
People who have
Yes,
been around.
I
for a
feel
while.
like I'm a recycler.
Yeah. Who's to say that when you
But somebody has
see
to
the
be-
light at the end of the tunnel, it's not you coming out of someone
No,
else's vagina?
it's me going into different. Yeah. I wasn't. That's not
No
what I
pun
expect to
intended
come out of your
with
mouth.
this
But
topic.
okay. But yeah, I don't. And people can beat me up for this all day long. But I mean, a lot of people believe that when they die, they go to heaven, so they're not afraid of death.
Sure.
I believe that if I kick ass in this lifetime, then there's going to be a reason for me to continue on to the next, and I'll be needed. And so then I will either come out of somebody's vagina or whatever, whatever you just said, or I'll just be, just like it accumulates. Like eventually,
I don't think you lose the wisdom from the previous life. I think you lose the knowledge and the intellect from the previous life. I don't think you lose
Right.
the wisdom.
you have to
from
lose the
previous
knowledge.
life.
Well, you lose the
knowledge. Maybe not the
not the
maybe not
knowledge. You
maybe
lose-
not the intellect.
right, not the
You know,
intellect or
'cause
the
you have
wisdom.
people like Lee Iacocca and freaking what's the guy's name now? That's a billionaire.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk
or
and,
Jeff
people like
Bezos,
Jeff
or
Bezos.
yeah, there are a lot of them.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think that. I think if I do things right, then I will be asked to perform the next task when it's my time to do so. So that's why I'm not afraid of death. It's not because I think I'm going to go up to heaven and be fed grapes and fanned by angels or whatever. I don't even,
for all eternity.
For all eternity. No, I have a responsibility. I have a
Or you'd be
responsibility
the
to do
one
good in this
feeding the
life.
grapes and stuff for all eternity. Also.
Pardon?
You could be the one doing the feeding of the grapes.
No.
I'm just saying.
I don't
I
think.
mean, here's the thing.
I mean, if that's
so if
okay.
you look at
I
if you traditionally look at what people think heaven is, you think of heaven as golden brick roads and beautiful houses and this, that, and the other. There has to be
from the
servants.
Christian view.
Right. There has to be servants up there to serve you, right?
Right, because you're not getting that stuff. Well, I mean, if God is
Right.
all powerful, then it could just come out of the sky, right?
See, and why would subjugation be the default position
Right.
if there was a heaven?
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No doubt.
So are they bringing people
Not
from?
saying there's not a heaven.
Well, and some would.
It just might be the heaven that people
Sure.
think it is.
Maybe heaven is
Maybe heaven is having the
on
wisdom,
earth.
having the wisdom from this lifetime,
Mhm.
and being able to transfer it into the next lifetime.
I know. But I feel like I'm kind of in heaven because I am doing what I feel comfortable in my skin and my brain and moving forward and helping people and mentoring people like you, Mike, and doing this and reaching out to people. And does that make me crazy? No, I'm not. I know I'm not in actual heaven.
Right.
If I was in actual heaven, I would be doing this from a beach. But, but just saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can
cold
get
ass
some
Wisconsin.
Right.
sand.
I wouldn't have had to
We have
put long
clean it up
underwear
after
and
the
freaking
show,
wool
but-
jacket on today to get over to this fucking place.
I know. Have to throw some sand down. And
Yeah. Anyway, I just
You're doing a great job with the studio, Nate, but we need sand and sun.
I know.
I'm just saying. I'm just going
Need
to
like a heat lamp.
actually
Right.
I have light boxes in my office. I have 2 light boxes because I have seasonal effectiveness.
Tanning bed with a microphone.
No, tanning bed is not good.
You know, we need to make that a show.
Light therapy.
We need to make that a show.
That's one of my
No,
inventions.
depression
Depression is.
in general. We need
Oh,
to make that a
please.
show.
I don't know that. I think. Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something that is specifically talking about that they're trying to divide us by, but I think a lot of us deal with it.
No,
Oh,
it
yes.
absolutely is a division in the United States. Because people will have you believe that you should not have mental. I know personally, growing up in the inner city, I was taught that we don't talk outside the household.
Right.
We don't go to therapists. We don't seek out medical help. Okay? So there's a division when it comes to mental illness.
Yeah, I'm going to
So-
talk to my therapist about this tomorrow.
We're going to drop this right now, and we're going to actually pick up a show about this in a few weeks.
Okay.
But I think we should talk about mental illness.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think it's something that needs to come to the forefront.
Yeah.
We're starting to open up about it. You know.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. There's more people in the United States that are talking about mental illness today than it has been in the past.
Especially
Well, and I
during
think it's
COVID.
becoming more prevalent because after 2 years of the craziness we all dealt with COVID, like no human being should be locked in a house for 6 months.
No.
That's
or
a
whatever
great
it is.
point.
And
Great
then
point.
after having the president that we have.
Well, we simulated what some people feel all the time and have for 30
Right.
years, and everyone got to take it out for a spin in a forced simulation.
Right. And if you're an
That's great
isolationist or you want, you're an introvert, then you probably are like, yeah, I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to go to school. I don't have to go to work. They all, whatever. That is not me.
But extroverts had a hard time
Oh, my
during
gosh.
COVID.
Sure.
A hard time during COVID.
I think there's more sensitivity to and openness to what it feels like to be
Right.
agoraphobic and some of those other symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a great point.
I agree. So, as far as religion is concerned,
Yeah, going back to that. So, and that's the subject of tonight. So, the only religions that we discussed, we didn't talk about Wiccan. That's a subject that we don't know anything about at
yeah,
all.
there's a lot of subjects we don't know anything about.
Yeah, so
I'd
there's
really
a lot
love
of
it
religion.
if our listeners, our audience, would
Yeah.
like give us some opinions about what they're struggling with religiously, or what they've heard and they don't understand, or
what they heard and they disagree with.
yeah,
You know, because all we talked about was the religions that believe in, a God.
a God.
That's all we discussed.
Right.
We didn't talk about any, Eastern religions or Wiccan or not believing in religion at all.
Right. Well, and that's a whole different thing. So what I don't understand is, like, we all believe in a God. Isn't that a common thread?
Not necessarily. We don't all believe in a
No.
God.
Well,
There's some
I know,
people
but-
that don't believe in anything. They
Right.
believe that when you die, that's it. You're
And
done.
then-
You're gone. The lights are out. Period.
And that's fine. Believe that if you want. And those are what, agnostics?
Yeah, but you say that so.
No, I'm just saying, like, if you think about all the people that believe in a God,
Right.
that's about 80% of the people. And then you have the other 20% over here. Not that we want to pit each other against pit ourselves against them,
Right.
but I think that the people that do believe in a God are not recognizing the fact that we believe in a God. It might not be the same God,
Right. Okay.
but
I see what you're saying.
we believe in a
I see
God.
what you're getting at. Yep.
You're trying to eliminate strife between the 80%. We're making up percentages,
Right.
by the way,
Of course.
for people.
Yeah.
But the 80% that have strife in interreligious conflict, which has been the history of our
Right.
species.
I mean, look at the Crusades, whatever.
Correct. I mean, there's a long history, obviously, but there are people, and the question begs, can you be a moral, ethical person without believing in God at all?
Without any religion.
Absolutely, without
Right.
any religion, because the religion is the practice of
Like
belief.
Lennon said, no religion too.
And here's the thing: all the people that I know, this is just in my, I'm 51. Okay, I know I don't look it. You don't have to talk about that.
Yep,
I know
I
look
know.
like I'm 35. But anyway, so I'm 51. All the atheists that I have come across have, in my opinion, do not have a lot of moral or ethical fiber. I know.
I don't know.
I know.
I mean, I know a few atheists.
They wax and wane with the wind.
Right.
They wax and wane with the wind. So when it comes to how they feel, is how they go. And in my opinion, there should be a more a higher moral and
Yeah.
ethical fiber.
Okay, so what you're saying is,
give me 1 second.
Okay, sorry.
That you adhere to outside of how you feel.
Literature.
Okay, go ahead.
and
What were you
chivalry.
going to say?
so what you're saying is the only way a person could have a moral compass is to believe in a God.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that in my opinion and based on what I have dealt with, the atheist people that I have ran into, their moral fiber wax and wanes with how they feel rather than a specific moral and or
So
ethical
they're more
fiber.
emotional than they are spiritual.
Right. So if I feel as though I don't want to be, let's just say I want to go ahead and cheat on this person, whether it's male or female, okay? Friends that I've had, I want to cheat on this person. I'm going to do that because that's how I feel, and that should be okay because that's how I feel. Most atheist people that I have ran into base their moral fiber on their feelings rather than a deity and or a set of
So you're saying they don't follow the
practice
10
rules.
Commandments or whatever.
correct.
But there are a lot of Christians that don't follow the freaking 10 Commandments either.
I don't disagree. I do not disagree at all. There's a lot of Christians that walk into that church every day who have been, prior to walking into the church, viewing porn online and
Sure.
Yeah.
and they're married.
yeah.
They're married and they're not telling their wives about this.
Yeah.
And before that, they slept with their secretary and they walked into the church. I'm not saying I disagree. I'm not saying that Christians are the be all end all of Christianity or religion or whatever, and they're the greatest people in the world. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that when you have a foundation of ethics and morals, you tend to feel guilty about what you're doing.
Those are two different things,
Whereas
though, Mike.
feel guilty about what you're doing and make changes in order to be a better person.
Sure.
Whereas people who do not have that same foundation
Yes.
do not.
You're conflating. I have to say this, and I'll edit
Please.
it out if you don't.
Absolutely. No,
want me
don't
to,
edit
but,
anything out. Come on.
I have met.
We don't do that, audience, because we really are true here. We don't try to
Yes.
edit things out.
I have met individuals that absolutely have a moral, ethical code. Those are two different things. Whether or not they believe in God
Okay.
is a different story. They have based their values. They just, for instance,
On what?
We're all
On
anecdote.
what, Nate?
They have a good, strong family structure, and we can keep reducing. We can do the reductionist argument based on Judeo-Christian foundations, but they don't believe they don't believe that anything happens afterwards. They don't go to church.
That
They don't
doesn't
believe
mean
in
they
anything.
want to be shitty people in their lives.
Exactly. So this moral, ethical equivalency to, well, you either believe in God or you're a existentialist, where nothing happens. I just do whatever I want. I'm hedonistic. Screw it. I'm gonna cheat on my wife whenever. That's what I'm afraid of. Is
But
that we're
that's not
doing
to say
some.
there aren't people like that out there either, and
Well,
that's
and
where
they
you
go to
kinda
church,
get in
too.
Yeah, right.
And that's what we said.
Right.
There's some creeps,
Right.
psychopaths, sociopaths,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I
because
mean-
people
they're
that go
going
to
to show up
church.
at church
That's
because
Catholic.
Sure.
That's
because
Catholicism.
their wife wants them to. If you don't go to church, that proves that you're sleeping
Exactly.
with your secretary.
But you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah,
is
no
that
doubt,
this
no doubt.
equivalency with, well, you either go to church or you either believe in God or you're just this moral depraved, you don't get it. You have atheists all over the place that just don't say it because of their fear of this very conversation, and they are doing just fine, and they're loving husbands and wives,
Right.
and they're loving parents, and they're not concerned with the
Right.
afterlife and how to
because they're
the
living
verb
now.
worship. And they're not going, well, screw it. We only live once. Let's just kill somebody or rip the head off of a chicken somewhere. You know what I mean?
I don't think that's in the 10 Commandments, Nate, but we
Correct.
could, yeah.
But that just happens to be one of the moral codes. That's all I'm saying, is that we kind of made it sound like, well,
Yeah.
I caught that, and I'm sure some listeners will. It's like, well, geez, I wasn't raised anything, and I don't really believe in God, but I think I'm a good person.
Right.
And you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah,
We
no
made
doubt.
it sound like, well, you're not
Well,
until
no,
you
and
go
that's
to
what I
our
was trying to
service.
say. It's like you're not, like, you can believe in a God. You can believe in a higher power. You can believe in Allah. You can believe in Jesus. You can believe in anything else you want. But the fact that you believe in something that is a higher power that should make you a better person, or that it's
Higher value?
higher
A value
yeah.
system. We're
A
talking about an
values-
ethical,
yeah.
moral code, and each culture has had it since we were hanging out around a campfire. We're storytelling creatures, so of course we're going to make
Since
up
we were
stories.
hunter-gatherers.
Well, since
Quit pulling my hair,
secondary
asshole.
2 or
Just
3.
kidding.
2 or 3 of us in a room, like right now in the studio, we were telling each other stories, try to figure out something we have
Well,
no
yeah,
comprehension.
y'all were chasing me,
Like
but
you're
that's a whole nother
struck
story.
down from the awe of God thing. Okay? You can't have both. If you're going to do that, we cannot comprehend. So if we cannot comprehend, we also cannot mandate and dictate that this is how we
Right.
approach that. I don't know.
If it's a
And producer
belief.
Nate is all worked up.
No,
I
here's
told
the,
you
here's
I
the
wasn't
thing.
supposed to put
you
my
said
mic
you
on.
weren't going to talk tonight, Nate.
That's what I said. But then you go, what do you think, Nate?
Yeah, I don't. I am not.
Darn it.
So
yeah.
here's the thing. I'm not saying as a Christian, just because I identify.
Okay. Just
As a-
because you
as a-
identify
as
as
a
a
Christian,
Christian.
Doesn't mean that I think that other religions are incorrect and or wrong or bad or anything like that.
I
Or
identify
not.
as a good person.
Even atheism. Like I don't believe. Like I am not so staunch in my beliefs that I don't think that what other religions are couldn't be right, couldn't be true.
Are you?
You
but
know what I mean?
are you the kind of person that would go like start talking to an atheist and try to convince them that God is the thing?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. I will try to convince them that this is what I believe, but I'm not going to try to convince them that they should believe what I believe.
Would you
And
think?
there's
Wes?
Here's the
where
thing.
difference is with people.
Right. Here's the thing. If you are going to be so easily persuaded by by how I believe and what I think is right or wrong,
Mm-hmm.
chances are we're not going to be good friends. Because personally, I like people who fight against me, and that's just my personal thing.
Not fight against you, but
No,
that have
when I
like,
say
challenge
fight,
you.
challenge me,
Challenge you.
argue with me, fight against me,
Sure.
whatever you want to call it, debate. What I don't care what you call it. That's that's splitting hairs as far as
I
I'm
think,
concerned.
but
I like
agree
people-
to disagree, right? At the end,
I like people who tend to challenge my beliefs, morals, emotions, whatever. I like people who challenge me. I like people who are more intelligent than I am, and that's who I tend to gravitate towards because I want to
thank
be.
you very much.
No, seriously.
Nice.
I'm being serious here.
Okay, sorry.
See, she can deflect with humor too.
Because I want to, I want to grow. I want to learn.
Yeah.
I want to understand the
There you
world better than what I understand it now.
Right.
So if you just completely bend with my will and say, "Oh yeah, I guess you're right," we're probably not going to be friends for very long.
No.
I want to understand what you believe,
because
how
that's
you
just
feel.
a two-dimensional relationship. And I've had, there have been people I've, had relationships with, and they're like, we're breaking up, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to go out with you anymore, and they're like, why? And I'm like, this is two-dimensional, and they didn't get it, and I'm like, exactly.
Like, could you ever be friends with someone who?
I've been friends with people who are atheists, like strict, staunch atheists.
And
Yeah.
atheist means
The
there's
problem-
absolutely no God,
Yeah,
or
just
they believe in
means
the
none.
devil.
No,
Theism.
atheist, not agnostic. I'm talking
Yeah.
about atheists.
Just not God.
Right.
That's just basically what
And
Okay.
the problem I have with people who are atheists
Mm-hmm.
that I have run into is that I've always found out over extended period of time and or short period of time that these people do not have a good moral and or ethical foundation. They tend to wax and wane with the wind.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. and
Sure, that's your anecdotal evidence.
That's
Yeah.
just in my experience.
Sure.
You
Fair enough.
just told me that you know atheist people who
Oh, yeah.
who have a good moral fiber,
Oh yeah.
moral
I
ethical
would
fiber.
follow them to the edge.
I
of
haven't
the earth.
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay?
think being
I
an
know,
atheist
I know
makes
some
you a bad
atheist
person.
people who continue to cheat on their spouse on a daily
Sure.
basis and think that it's okay to do so.
Because they believe in God or not.
Right.
I
yeah,
know
get it.
Christian people who do the same shit.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Christians are any better. What I'm saying is that I know when it comes to Christian, the difference, and this is again just in
It's a spiritual
my
gym going
personal
to church.
world. In my opinion,
They go to the gym.
when
They go
you
to the
go
spiritual
when
gym.
you go to ch- when you are when you consider yourself a Christian, you continue to try to do better and
Spiritual
be better
gym.
every day. Whereas when you consider yourself an atheist, you just don't give a damn.
They don't go to the gym and they just kind of hang out. I get it.
Exactly.
It's a
Well,
spiritual gym.
Maybe, yeah, I guess it would be. I mean, I don't think of it somebody as like clear cut. If you're an atheist, you're a bad person. Whatever. I think you may be more susceptible to having a spirituality or a ethic or a whatever you want to call it.
Skewed spirituality or skewed moral values.
Defined by whom? And we keep going back. We need definitions.
Yeah.
And that's full circle. You guys are tackling, by the way, the singular topic of the human species. So good job.
It's been.
For real. This is the
Yeah.
biggest one. All that
I
other
think it's
shit
another.
was
I think
just
we need to
little.
move forward on this topic at some point and probably bring some guests in because we are all.
Well, I have a gentleman friend who's a minister, so let's bring him in.
Okay.
You know what? Let's move this up because next week we're doing politics.
We're doing politics.
So the week after
yep.
that, we'll segue back to religion.
And you guys don't be afraid. Like politics, we're talking about
We're
election.
talking about how great Donald Trump is.
Oh, good Lord.
What are you trying to do to us?
All right. Yeah. If you want to cut
teasing.
anything out, Nate. Anyway, we're talking about elections, not politics
No.
and not whatever. We're talking about how people can get involved
Right.
in their elections on a local level and everything else, and the things to pay attention to, because politics to a lot of people is boring and nonsensical.
Here's the thing. A lot of Americans feel like their vote don't count. They feel like it doesn't matter.
Right. And how are you going to tell them it doesn't?
Right. And that's why we're going to talk about this more on a local level.
Yeah.
I think we should have Andrew on next
Yeah, I
week
think
as
we're
well.
going to have a couple of people on. One of them that is
wonderful.
running for office, and another one that is very involved in local
in
elections.
general. Yep.
Andrew. Oh,
And then we're going to have to come back to this religious
Yeah.
topic because
It's a heavy topic. Here's the thing, guys. So if I offended anyone, whether it be Christian or atheist or agnostic or Muslim or Jewish or whatever, I truly apologize, because here's the thing. I tout myself as a Christian only because I believe in the foundation of Christianity. I believe in doing unto others as I should have done unto myself, which is the golden rule. I believe in dying for the church as Christ did for us. Okay? Which means that, Nate, if I see you going through peril, I need to do something to help you. Okay? And I believe that
you
if
will risk your life to help him out.
Exactly. And I believe that if everybody in the world felt that way about one another, we would not have the wars and famine and crap that we have today.
The only reason we have that is because of governments.
And greed.
7 deadly sins.
That's
the
why you
worst
go
one
to
is
the-
greed.
Right.
And that's what your point is.
And that's the reason why I say, hey, I'm a Christian, because those are the foundations I believe in. Now, I don't go to church every week. I just don't. Okay? But I don't need to go to church every week to be a good person. Just like atheists don't need to go to church every week to be a good person. you know?
Exactly.
So,
Perfect.
with that note, we are going to set up our political conversation next week. We're going to talk about religion the week after that. And I'm Mike Sewell.
And I'm Amy Alexander. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe.
No doubt.